Hello again. Good evening. It's been it's been a couple weeks, kind of a quiet lead up to Pro Hero Nationals, and, a bit of a quiet after that, kind of just, lots of recaps and interviews going on from the in-person Pro Hero Nationals event down in Dallas. And so, yeah, a lot of the same here. We'll just quickly go over, some of the results and where we're at in terms of the HLC. And we got a couple details from Jasco about some of the nitty-gritty of that going forward with a few more nationals to go. We're going to have the webcam nats coming up this weekend, and then, of course, the European and Oceania nationals the weekend after that. So we got a little bit of filling in some question marks about, like, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? So we'll go through all that, and maybe more excitingly, after we're done going through all that, I'm going to have a little contest, because I won a few boxes in the Nationals event. Don't really feel like opening them, so I figured I'd ship them out for a little contest of sorts, and it should be a fun one, so stay tuned for that. But, just to get to the main stuff, the news and whatnot, this past weekend, of course, was Pro Hero Nationals in Dallas. The winner was Barrett Bryant, playing a Chaos Tokuyami 1 deck, for the My Hero Academia only format that had 320 participants when you include the people with buys. There was also the standard Sunset event, of course, the winner of that getting a character card in their likeness for future formats, and we're hitting both of those points here. This is Barrett Bryant's character card from when he won 2018 Nationals, and so here he is winning the 2022 MHA Nationals, and William Anderson with a Fire Takeda deck is going to get one of these character cards of his own by winning the standard Sunset event. So that's pretty cool. We'll be looking forward to that, and looking forward to see what Jasco does with, in terms of having a multi-IP format in the future. We had 108 people for this event, which by all accounts dramatically exceeded what Jasco thought they were going to get, especially if you look at the time they had that event starting. How much time they definitely did not allot themselves to run an event of that size. But we got through it, and congratulations to Will Anderson for winning that. So the main thrust of the MHA Nationals was that the top 8 were going to qualify for the Hero League Championship at the end of the year. So, and then after that, you're playing for champ cards and playing for prestige and whatnot, so, that was all good and well, but the main meat of it is that we got a bunch of people qualified this past weekend, and via the Pro Hero point system, the way it's shaken out, there's 5 people who are basically locked on the points basis, and we'll talk a little bit about what goes on beyond that. But just list the names. So by making the top 8, Barrett Bryant, myself, Tim Keefe, Travis Tangerman, Kevin Brober, Keenan Meadows, Clinton Thomas, Chris Smith, and Deshaun Fulbright all qualified via making the top 8. A few of those were already kind of locked by points already, but now their invite is coming for the Pro Hero Nationals. As a result, the top 5 in the point system in terms of earning an invite are Jose Narono, Jacob Johnson, Chris Bromley, David Pena, and Ryan Field. And that pretty much caps out that there was like a collection of 7 people who were kind of up at the front of the points rankings all year. I had kind of fallen back to 8th at the end there by missing Pasadena, but that top 8 is all in. The people that were really sort of jostling for position all year long, they have all qualified. We also got news from Jasco that they've selected Tamarin Cardwell as their Pro Hero MVP, as sort of, community member, community contribution, content creator, that sort of thing. They had a slot reserved for that, and Tam is getting that slot. So we have 14 people who are locked for the HLC, and we're waiting to find out what the other 18 are. And we got a little bit of clarification from Jelly, from Alex Whiteside at Jasco, about how all that was going to shake out with, what if somebody makes tops at both nationals, what if there's ties, this sort of thing. So first of all, if there's a repeat qualifier, if somebody makes multiple Nats top 8s, then they're going to pass that invite down to the next person up in the Pro Hero points rankings. These are, maybe should have gone over this a little earlier. These are the points that people have gotten for playing in regionals all year long, and you also get points at the nationals events, although obviously if you place high enough, you're just qualified anyway, so you can only get so many points from nationals, but it is going to matter going forward, because after the current list of locks, Corey Aguilard is securely in the next slot, so if one thing passes down, Corey gets in. After that, there's a group of 7 or 8 people in the 15 to 21 point range that could shake out any which way. And I'll have links in the description, not only, first of all, for the deck lists for the top 32 of MHA and the top 16 of the Standard Sunset, but also a little spreadsheet screen cap of where I believe the Pro Hero points are at right now, because the official rankings in the app are a little bit off. They're missing Gen Con specifically, and they might still be missing the Pro Hero Nationals. I'm not quite sure if that's all set up properly. But, myself and, Andrew Holder's been tracking this all year long. I think David Pena also has been tracking this, and we all have the same numbers. So I have a little link to that in the description if you're curious to see sort of where the points are at. And you get an idea, if you're in that mix, how many slots we need to pass down before you're in the picture. We also got a bonus clarification of how tiebreakers are going to work, because it's possible that there's a couple pass downs and now it goes to the 18-point slot, but there's 2 people with 18 points, and how is that going to work, that sort of thing. So the first tiebreaker is going to be whoever had the highest Pro Hero Nationals finish, whichever one they did better in if they played in both, followed by whoever did the best at an RLE. So presumably in this case, somebody who took second at an RLE would win out over someone who took, top 4 and had a couple top 16s. And then if those are tied, then it goes to the number of regionals you showed up and scored at. Sort of a slight bias to people who kind of traveled more, I guess. Those finishings are all sort of in brackets. They're not going to parse out like strength of schedule or anything like that. So you're the top 32 or you're top 16. There's no like 18th versus 20th or whatever. And so for different people, that shakes out in different ways. I'm not going to try to go into all the permutations here. But if you're in that group and you're interested, that is what it's going to be. And so yeah, we'll have, like I said, a screenshot of the current points in the description, as well as some deck lists for that. Now, slightly more fun, and I guess not really on this summary here. I didn't really prepare anything to show this off, because it'll be more fun to have you click the link. I'm going to give away one of these Heroes Clash boxes. I'm actually going to give away all 3 over the course of, the coming month or 6 weeks or whatever here. And we're going to, so something I did, back in the old days as a live stream was an Iron Chef challenge, I called it. And it was sort of just a deck building challenge where like me and a guest or 2 would come on and we would basically shuffle a stack of cards and try to build a deck using whatever we came out of. Just, we would flip cards until we found a few that shared a symbol. It's like, okay, build a deck using those, right? And that was fun, and people kind of liked it. Worked okay as a live stream. Was a little finicky to pull together, but it's really fun. It's sort of a creative deck building challenge, and I figured I'd spin up something like that here now that we have 3 sets and the Wild Wild Pussycats DLC coming out. It's probably an open enough card pool to do some interesting stuff in this space, but rather than try to make it like a produced live show or anything like that, just gonna have it be send in your submissions kind of contest. So at the top of the description, or near the top of the description for this video, there will be a link to a UVS Ultra list. The UVS Ultra list will be empty aside from 6 cards sitting in the sideboard. Your challenge is to build a deck using at least 4 of those 6 cards at the number that they're there. So if somewhere in the sideboard there's 3 copies of USJ, for instance, there might be, that means if you choose to use that ingredient, you must run at least 3 USJs. Right? Could be that sort of thing. So, you don't get to say, well, I'm using this ingredient, but it's just a token one-off, right? They're all gonna have to be in your deck in some meaningful number, right? But, some things are unique. So you might see some 2Xs in there, that sort of thing. So, take a look at the list, take a look at those 6, decide 4 of them that you think you can build an interesting deck around, and, put something together that you think is neat. And I'm going to find a guest judge. We'll record a little video where we sort of go through the submissions and kind of score them and talk about each of them. I'll probably try to anonymize them a little bit so that, there can't be any bias involved or whatever. But we're going to score them based on, first of all, sort of creativity, right? How interesting is the deck? Some sort of scoring based on viability. Not that we're looking for, like, major championship winning decks here, but, you know, if a deck's just kind of terrible, that matters, right? So the deck should at least be, you know, reasonably capable, ideally, and then, you know, score for how well you're leveraging the ingredients, right? You can always just kind of toss in one of these cards as an afterthought and not really be doing anything synergistic with it, right? And not every card kind of lends itself to this, but most of the stuff we put in here will. So yeah, we'll score based on that, and we'll pick a winner, and I will send them a box. I don't mind paying for shipping to a point. You know, obviously, if, you know, you're across an ocean, I might need help with shipping. I don't actually know what the shipping prices are going to be, so I'll see what they are, then I might have to ask you about it. But for the most part, you know, don't worry about the shipping. I'll reply to your comment or something and get an address from you, and we'll ship it out in some reasonable time frame, hopefully. But yeah, so check that out. To submit a list, just drop a comment on this video and just say, like, you know, here's the deck I've submitted, here's a link. And I'll click on the links and I'll just, like, make copies of them or something somewhere to get them all in one place, one account. And yeah, these are going to be due noon Eastern next Saturday, the 26th. So it's essentially the end of the night, Friday night for most parts of the world. Pretty much, I just wanted to make sure that think of the deadline as Friday, but if you want to get up Saturday morning and put something together, I guess feel free to do that. Yeah, so hopefully people find that to be pretty fun and interesting exercise, even just to do it for fun, and if you get a box, you get a box, right? That kind of deal. Hopefully people will take to it. We'll see how much participation there is, and yeah, look forward to judging these. So take a look at that if you're playing in this weekend's Webcam Nationals. Good luck, have fun. It's going to be a long day of webcam play, just as last week was a couple long days of in-person play. And then, you know, after that, we'll see. I assume next week is probably going to be like this for a little while, where it's just kind of Nationals recaps and stuff. But we'll have this Iron Chef thing to look forward to, and we'll have some fun with that. And yeah, until next time. See you. Have a good night.